Mortgage agents have zero value and people should always go directly to their banks to get their mortgage. That's $200,000 that I'll never get back if my mortgage agent makes a mistake. So the realtor called me and said, we'll have to make documents. And he's like, Paji, fir kidda karoge kam? It's a 100% commission based job and there is no salary. That was one question that tipped me when I was buying my first house. The file looked very normal and I saw that there was fraud written on their credit report. Now you might be curious, how much are we actually paid? Mortgage agents are useless. That's exactly what I was told when I was joining the industry. After 3 years of doing mortgages, I'll talk about how rewarding this career is, or maybe I realized that I made one massive mistake by quitting my job and coming into mortgages. That's exactly what we'll be talking about in this video. So let's get started. So there are two things that I was told when I wanted to join the mortgage industry. This was before me joining the mortgage industry. I joined in about, late 2021. And when I was thinking of giving the license, these are the two things that people told me. Mortgage agents are frauds and mortgage agents have zero value. They are completely useless and people should always go directly to their banks to get their mortgage. Now, as you know, I still joined the mortgage industry. So I'm going to talk about why did I choose this career despite people talking about the two things that I just talked about, and how did I do in this particular industry and whether that decision was worth it or not. Now, this video is for two kinds of people. One, who are planning to become a mortgage agent, so you'll get the reality of what's on the other side. And two, people who are skeptics about going to mortgage agents versus banks, or they are thinking if there's any value in going to mortgage agents over banks. Now, I'm not making the video because I'm a mortgage agent. There's no bias. You can actually take it or leave it, this advice, and you can actually not come to me and go to another mortgage agent and still go to your bank. So I'm not doing it for getting more business. I'm just doing it to clear the air if there is any. But first, we need to understand how mortgage agents are paid, how I am paid in this industry. The first thing is that it's a 100% commission-based job and there is no salary. Unless you are working with a bank as a mortgage specialist, which are not actually licensed, you will get a salary and then you might make some commissions. However, what I do as an independent mortgage agent with brokerages is 100% commission-based job and there is $0 of salary. The second point is that mortgage agents work with multiple banks for a finder's fee, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Now, you might be curious, how much are we actually paid? Depending on the bank and the product and the term that you are taking, we are paid anywhere between 0.5% to 1%, and there could be some volume bonuses that come, but for all means and purposes, I would say approximately 0.8 to 1% is how much commission we make. And this commission is based off the loan amount and not the purchase value. So if you buy a house mortgage free, we make $0. And number 4, and that's the biggest misconception that people have, for most mortgages, 99.9% of mortgages that we do, we actually do not charge the client for it. Now, there must be a catch, right? No, the reason why we do not charge the client is because the bank pay the agent. And the reason why they pay the agent is because we are taking away the marketing from the bank. I am making this video. I am spending time in making, videos on YouTube. I'm spending my dollars in doing paid advertising. And that's where I actually get the client to the bank for free. And that's why they are paying us a finder's fee. The second thing is that we are also doing underwriting for the bank. So they save on human resources that are involved in doing the paperwork because we are putting our resources in doing that paperwork for them. And the third reason why they pay is because they cannot bridge the education gap. A lot of first-time home buyers have a ton of questions that not all bank employees will be able to answer. And that's where instead of hiring very qualified mortgage agents, which they have to pay about $200,000 in salary, they can get away with just hiring someone and pay them $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for an experienced mortgage agent because they are bank employees and they are not meant to educate the client. And those are the reasons why the banks pay us a commission and they save much more than what they pay us in marketing and human resource. So the elephant in the room, mortgage agents are fraud. And this is something that I don't completely disagree with, but I can't say that all mortgage agents are fraud, right? So I'll give you an instance that happened in my second year of, doing real estate. I had already sold to over 100 people. Now, the realtor who was calling me, he did not know that. So the realtor called me and said that, oh, Navjot, we have this client. His income is not much. We are buying $1 million house. So we'll have to make documents, like income documents. And I said no. And he's like, Paji, fir kidda karoge kam? So what that translates into is that how will you work in this industry if you're not making documents, if you're not committing fraud? There's no way in hell that you can be successful as a mortgage agent without doing it. That is absolutely wrong. And I've proven it with my numbers. If you look at the last 3 years, I have actually dealt with 87 clients in my first year of doing real estate. I closed 87 files with a $58 million of all sold volume. So these are the amount of loans that we did, 58 million. And you can just do the math on, how much money in commissions we made. On average, it was about 1%. 2023 was way higher, 148 clients, 95 million in commission. We have not even completed the 4th month and we are already at 50 million in volume, and 225 clients is what I estimate we'll end this year with, hopefully higher. And I have done $0 of fraud mortgages. So anyone who says that that's the only way to grow in the industry, they are wrong. And the reason why I can say this confidently is, first, I built a business without doing fraud. And second of all, I do feel, being in this industry, that there are so many good people in the industry who are doing and making an honest living. But there are some realtors and mortgage agents who are living in their bubble. There are geographies within Canada where there is a lot of fraud. And if you go outside of those geographies, you will not find that narrative anywhere else. And those are the mortgage agents that I look up to. And the factor of the matter is that I take this very, very seriously. And not just fraud, I take every file very seriously. It's people's hard-earned money. If I was going to buy a house and putting $200,000 down payment on $1 million house, that's $200,000 that I'll never get back if my mortgage agent makes a mistake. And that's the amount of seriousness that we need to look at this career with. And if we commit fraud, if we qualify for people, more than what they can qualify for, if they default on their mortgages, we are just playing with people's hard-earned money. And what I understood from this industry is everyone wants to buy a fancy house, whether or not they can afford it. And till the time they actually find themselves in the situation where they cannot make payments, they would never understand. And we have the responsibility of understanding those nuances. We have the responsibility of stopping people from making those mistakes and putting reason into emotion, because first-time home buyers always buy their homes because it's their primary home with emotion. And we are the people who have the responsibility to put logic into it. So the next time someone says that the industry is filled with fraud, you at least know one agent who is not doing that. And I can prove you with my numbers. The second thing that a lot of people talk about is mortgage agents are useless and we need to go directly to the bank to get our mortgages done. First of all, not everyone can qualify with a bank mortgage, but let's say you qualify for a bank mortgage and let's say you go to a bank, you need to ask a few questions. Is the bank not for profit? They are not, there to make money off you. They'll reduce the interest rate and not take anything in return. I think all those questions need to be answered. And first of all, the first question that you need to answer is the person that you are dealing with, the mortgage specialist on the other side. Who is that person? Like, do they even own their home? Do they understand what the stakes are for you? Can they provide you with the education that is required for you to buy your first house? Will they be available to you on weekends and after 5 p.m.? What if your eligibility with the bank came at $800,000 and on a Saturday when you're putting the offer, you have to put an $810,000 offer without conditions? Will the bank employee pick your phone at 8 p.m. at night? That's a really important question, and that was one question that tipped me when I was buying my first house. I was not a mortgage agent then. I went to a mortgage agent for this very reason. And the third thing, which is really important, is that most people who are working in the banks are not licensed. I don't know about you, but that's a big deal to me. And the fourth one, that might not be that important to you, but it was important to me because I wanted to buy investment properties as well. I wanted to make sure that my mortgage agent is there with me for life. They understand my previous situation and therefore they can guide me on my future situation as well. The second set of questions that you need to ask is, how are they getting paid? And the answer is that most bank mortgage specialists get paid a salary. So irrespective of whether they make a mistake on your mortgage or not, they will get paid a salary, whether your house closes or not. And the second one, and it's a big kicker, is that they have target-based bonuses. Now let's not kid ourselves. Banks are here to make money, and we all know that they'll make more money if they sell more 5-year fixed. And that's the reason why even we as mortgage agents get more commission if we sell the 5-year fixed. But is that the right product for you? No. Now let's look at the other situation. If you work with Samsung, but in your heart you know that you are really an Apple user, but you only can use Samsung because you work for Samsung. That's exactly what happens if a person is working in a bank. Even though they know that there is another product which is way better for this client, they would have to sell their bank's product because that's what they are getting paid for. So the next time you're looking at your bank, make sure that you are looking at these considerations as well. Now, a lot of skeptics here will say, Of course, you are biased because you're a mortgage agent. And you're right. I am a mortgage agent, but that doesn't change the truth. And I'll tell you how the banks actually fuck up the mortgages. And I have had so many instances like that where people have come from banks to me and their file has been completely fucked up. And pardon my language here, but that's what was happening. I'll give you one example of my personal example. I went to my bank because Simran, who is my wife, she was on a contract employee. We were closing an investment property in Calgary. And 2 days before the mortgage, they came back to us and said that we cannot do the mortgage. We submitted the file 4 months in advance. So for 4 months, they were sitting on the file. They were saying that everything is happening. Appraisal was done. Everything was done 2 days before the closing. They actually came back to us and said that they can't do that file. And of course, I have the knowledge of mortgages, and therefore I was able to, navigate my way through it, and we were able to find a way. And I had to give them the solution instead of them coming up with the solution, because again, they are not licensed. But that's the reality of it, and that can happen, and that's more common than you think it is. Let me give you another example where the client was closing a pre-construction project and they bought that project at the peak of the market. They went to their bank. The bank said that they cannot fund at the purchase price because the value of the house is way lower than it was, about $100,000 lower than what they bought it at. And the client was scrambling. They reached out to the realtor. They tried to reduce the price with the builder, and then they came to me and said that, is there a solution, or do we have to not close this, because the maximum that we can pull from our pocket is $30,000, $40,000, not $100,000. So I could have said no to that client, but I actually said that let me just talk to the builder and see if I can talk reason. I talked to the builder. I negotiated the price down on closing by $50,000. The clients already had $30,000. We were able to get a gift letter from their parents of $20,000, and we were able to close the house. So I could have just said no. There was absolutely no benefit for me to go to the builder and negotiate the price there, but I really wanted to help the clients and didn't want them to lose the house. I have tens and hundreds of these kind of examples that I've seen in the market because I'm part of the industry, and I can go on and on about the clients that I've helped with my knowledge and with my experience, which you cannot buy at a bank. Despite all the stigma attached to this industry, I still wanted to become a mortgage agent, and there were 3 reasons for it. The first one is this is something that I learned from my mentor who taught me mortgages. Matthew, if you are hearing this, big shout out to you. You have to leave the industry better than how you found it. And that's the reason why I fight a fight against fraud. And then I tell this all the time to my agents that we have to be the mortgage agents that we always wanted for our first home, which is education first and 100% transparency. And finally, I am not in it to just do your first home. I am in it for long term. I want to 2x your income and retire you with $5 million early. And for that, all my clients who close the mortgage with us go into a community called Grow Nation. And that's a mastermind where we every month meet and talk about different wealth building tools. Now, if you want to learn more about this mastermind, you can go to my website. There's everything there on the front page of the website. And if you want to get a little bit of sneak peek into how the community looks like, it's a school community where we have a classroom. There are courses of, First Job Accelerator. If you want a 6-figure salary, you can just go through this course. There's a retirement planning, which is not available on my website anywhere. You can't buy into it. This is only exclusive for my clients, where it's an entire course on, budgeting, investing, $5 million strategies, debt management, insurance, estate planning. It's an 8-hour long course. The next course that I'm launching also is how to start a 6-figure side hustle. This will be launched in Q3 of 2024. And then we have monthly money calls on financial planning, investing in the US, then the starter guide on investing in US versus Canada, whether it's worth it or not, power of coaching, knowing your fig jam, knowing your biggest strength, having multiple 6-figure, incomes. We talk a lot about different topics. The next one that we are doing is about options trading, where options trading will be discussed by someone who has made over 7 figures in this field, Cody A, who is a very good friend of mine, and he has agreed to come on this mastermind. All this is available within Grow Nation. I'm not doing this to make money because this is free. I'm doing this because I really genuinely want people to do well in life because they attach themselves to me. Now, this particular video was not a shameless plug. It was not for advertising. I just wanted to clear the air because there's a lot of misconception that's being spread against mortgage agents. Yes, there are some bad elements in the industry, but there are some really good people in the industry who do not commit fraud, and they are genuinely thinking of people to do better. That's all I have for today. मिलते हैं अगली वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए बाय बाय।